Hello everyone, Scott Sylvan Bell coming live from Sacramento, California, April 5th, 2016, 4:20 in the afternoon. Perfect day to talk about sales training. And I want to ask you, do you know what a sales crybaby is? Do you know what a sales crybaby is? Well, if you don't, let's go through it. So I'm on the forums. I love the forums. The forums is just like the perfect place to get all sorts of sales training information. And this guy, he sells cars, and he says, like, warning, this is a rant. And he starts saying, like, if you're going to come buy a car, you should know what you're looking for. If you're going to come buy a car, you should have a budget in mind. If you're going to come buy a car, and he's complaining that, sales are difficult. What? No way! Sales are difficult? Woo! Where did that come from? Woo! Right? And he's complaining that his job is difficult. Well, I'm going to tell you right now, sales is difficult for a lot of reasons. Now, I'm going to explain something up front. This guy was having problems because in his mind, he thought the buyer should walk in and just be like ready to buy. Now, how often does that happen for what you do? It doesn't, right? The guy's in fantasy land. So my question that I asked him that he totally avoided was like, well, why doesn't that person trust you? Because he was complaining that the person wouldn't give him information. He was complaining the person wouldn't commit. He was complaining to the person. He was complaining. Everything was a complaint for him. There was like no self-accountability for the problems that he faced. It was all somebody else's fault, okay? So I asked him, well, why doesn't the person trust you? And he totally glanced over, didn't want to get into it. But that's the big problem. If the person doesn't trust you, that's why you're having such a problem to get the information. A lot of times salespeople will try to speed up the process. A lot of times salespeople will try to make things go faster than what they need to. And instead of holding the hand of the buyer and taking the time that they need to get the information, to get the trust, to get them to talk about what's really going on, to explain what the situation is, like everybody's afraid that if they take time and effort and put it into a person, that person is going to like, oh, I just snatched your time and effort and I took it all away from you. And I just took all this time and effort away from you. So go over here, salesperson. That's not what normally happens, but because salespeople are scared of it, they don't give the time and effort. Okay, hope that makes sense. If I don't give the time and effort, I can't get the trust. But if I don't give the time and effort, then you can't really give me rejection. Okay, that's really what the sales guy's problem was. Now, there was a second thing. Complaining leads to more complaining. So if you are in sales, the last thing you want to do is hang out with somebody who's going to complain, because that's going to cause you to complain. And guess what? Now you're going to now you're going to attract, because I avoid complainers. Now you're going to attract another complainer, and that person, you just got to know that if a complainer is in your midst, you are going to lose money. It's like all of a sudden money just starts getting sucked out of your bank account. Money's gone. Right? You do not want to hang around with complainers. Like, that's the last thing. Like, you meet up with the guy and you know the guy or the girl at the office is a complainer, and they come over and they start talking to you, and you're like, oh my goodness, look at the time. I've got an appointment to get to. They're like, what appointment? Like the one with the Smiths. The one that I've got right now. I got to get going. Right? Get away from them. Okay? So do not be a sales crybaby. Know that your job is to help the buyer out by getting their trust and talking to them and figure out what their problem and what their pain is. But if you sit there and you're supposed to like, this guy's horrible, he actually wants me to help him out and get some work. This guy's horrible, he wants me to help him out and get some information. Right? You have to put the time, the effort, and the energy into something. And yes, I know there is a chance of you being rejected if you do that much work. But you know what? You know what's worse is when you don't take the time to put in that time, energy, or effort, and then that person's just like, that guy wasn't engaged. The salesperson really didn't want to help me out. The salesperson didn't want to answer questions for me. Right? The way that you win is to get some trust and ask some really good questions. Your job is to figure out the best questions to ask for your industry. I've got tons of questions. I've got tons of things to ask buyers. I've got tons of things to ask salespeople. Right? You can't out-question me. The only way you can beat me is to underbid me. Right? That's it. Like if somebody comes in and just totally slashes price, that's it. Right? You can't outwork me. You can only underbid me. So you should have the same process going for you. What is your process? Ask more questions, get better trust, give the person the time, the effort, and the energy, and you're going to find that all those complaints that like everybody else complains about, they just go away. Right? Go have some fun. Now, if you could do a small favor for me in the box down below, you know what your job is. Leave a comment, question, or story, silly. And then to the right or to the left, there's a subscribe button. You know what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to subscribe. And then what would be really cool is if you can send it out to all your friends via StumbleUpon. I'm guessing this is where the button is, by the way. StumbleUpon, Facebook, Twitter, Google+, whatever that is, and LinkedIn. Scott Sylvan Bell. We'll see you soon. Thanks for watching. Aloha.